Are we on here? It's got red on the bottom.
We're rolling, yeah. All right. Last week, tough loss.
Oh yeah, it was everything we wanted except for 1 point.
1 point. That game, and I've heard this analogy, and it's almost cliche, you know, especially in football games, the analogy of it being compared to a heavyweight fight where you're feeling each other out initially, and then you start trading blows, and then it comes down to the last play. And all but the last play, I mean, with 35 seconds left, tough loss.
Well, football is it's a cruel game and a fun game. I mean, it's both sides because you do play a smaller number of games, and you can pick any certain play, you know, and make it that way. Because if we hold them right there, everybody's excited, you know. Or if we score one other time when we're down there, everybody's excited. But you know that's what makes football unique. It doesn't make it greater than anything else, but does make it unique in the fact that you know when it's like I think I said this last week that it's like life but a whole lot faster.
Right. The press reported that you took that very personal, that loss, that you took it upon yourself. You blame nobody but yourself, put it on your shoulders. How do you personally, and I know that coaches have a way of motivating teams beyond that, but how do you personally get beyond a loss like that?
Oh, hard work. You can't substitute hard work, game plans, you know, those kind of things that you need to take care of. I'm a firm believer that there were 4 different opportunities in that last game, and each one of those opportunities, that was my responsibility. You know, and I won't go into detail what those were, but they were mine. You know, and so as you prepare for this game right here, you know, you tell the players that, you know, that one was the coaches. You know, and we played very well against Blinn last year and should have beat them last year with not as much talent as we have this year. And they don't have as much talent as they had last year. So you can use what you did last year, use the mistakes that you made. I mean, we're 11 points away from 2-0. You know, 5.5 points per game, and we're 2-0, and that is one of the things about college football. I think that Garden City moved up to number 15 in the nation, and Ellsworth moved up to 7 or 8 in the nation, and we're 11 points away from being better than they are.
2 huge penalties in that last drive. What did you do this week, if anything, to overcome or work on correcting those?
Sure. One of them was not acceptable. One of them was a sideline shot, not acceptable. You know, we discussed that from the very beginning about character and about what you do. That was not accepted. The other one was a questionable. You know, it's always the second guy that gets caught. You know, a guy yanked the kid's helmet off, and in retrospect, he should have just held it right there. You know, but as a whole, you know, the rain and the wind and the field conditions, you know, it just put it down to a tough time.
Pretty good performance from your backfield.
I felt like our 3 running backs really came to life, you know, and what people don't know is we actually have a 4th one that's been injured, but those 3 guys really did a great job in that ball game.
Out of the frying pan into the fire, you start conference play against Blinn, number 1. Blinn, if I'm not mistaken, in the notes I had, they in 2 weeks they've hung up 125 points.
Oh yeah, you know, Blinn is right now the team in our league that seems to be playing the best football for the last 3 years in a row. We were that same way in our first 3 years here as well, and don't get me wrong, they're an extremely good football team, But as college football goes, and not just junior college, you saw that last week in Division I when Ole Miss got beat by Jackson State. You know, there's a lot of parity out there. You know, if we bring our A game, we have every opportunity to beat them. You know, it's just it's not one of those leagues in which you say, well, you know, you can't make any mistakes. They got to make 4 or 5 mistakes in order for somebody to win. That's not the way it is in this league. You know, anybody can pounce on somebody, or anybody can beat somebody, you know. And right now, Blinn has played Fort Scott at home. Fort Scott, it was a close game. There was 9 turnovers in that game between the 2 teams, very first game characteristic. Then they played an NAI JV team in the second one, you know. We played the number 9 team and the 15th team. We think that we might be a little more game ready in certain areas. And it is Blinn's first road trip. You know, we're going to try to use all those to our advantage.
Fort Scott did find success against them. They put up 45 on them. what can you take away from Fort Scott's performance to kind of build upon yourself for any other?
Well, we got the Fort Scott Blinn tape, and Fort Scott self-destructed a lot early in the game and gave Blinn several easy touchdowns, and then it kind of got out of hand. It was like 42-7 pretty fast because of that. Then Fort Scott came back diligently. They ran the ball well, executed well in the passing game, and there are some things there. You know, Blinn is very strong on defense. They can run like the wind. They do not have Cam Newton anymore. That's a quarterback that played last year. It started Auburn last week, but the quarterback they have is very, very effective. They like to run the ball a little more this year than they did last year. Probably Blinn's biggest area is the return game. They have 2 or 3 returners that can fly.
The Fort Scott success that they had late in the game, and your philosophy is going back to an old line coach, running the ball, controlling the clock, controlling the game. Will you be able to apply that type of game plan towards Blinn, and what kind of success do you hope?
Well, we hope the elements are a little bit better this week than they were last week. The elements dictated a lot of what we were going to be able to do. If you've been around football, when it's wet and rainy and windy, the most solid surface is in the middle of the field. So we spent a lot of our time against Ellsworth in the middle of the field. This particular game right here, we'll need to get the ball on the edge, a little bit more. Now, we'll run it to get there, but we have a couple of game plan things for them.
Thank you, Coach, very much.
You got it. Thank you.